We're now halfway into the Clone Wars final season. The last 6 episodes have been full of action, reveals and new characters. With 6 more episodes to go, I thought we'd have a look back on the last 6 episodes and have a look at all the Easter eggs in the season so far. So sit back, relax and have some shorter club sandwich today at Dex's Diner. Welcome to Star Wars Timelines. So let's work backwards, starting with episode 6, because starting with episode 1, that's just too predictable. So we're going to be playing this one off the books, so hold on tight. Now our first biggest reference is Kessel itself. If you've seen Solo, you'll notice truly how close it is to what the planet looked like in the movie. We've never actually seen the greenery around Yorba's castle, however, but, you know, the rest of the castle is a very familiar sight. I mean, as well as being featured in Solo, it's also been mentioned before plenty of times. Kessel was also featured in Star Wars Rebels, where the crew rescued Wookiees from Spice Mine K-76. It's always fun to revisit familiar locations in different times in the Star Wars universe, so this was a nice little fun adventure. A quick reminder guys, if possible please don't forget to like and subscribe. It really means a lot to me and helps me continue to make content like this. If you also have any ideas for lore videos, or theories, or reviews, or any upcoming comics that you might like me to have a look at, please comment them in the comments down below. I'm always open to any suggestions. Again, they can literally be as wild as you want. Like, I'll literally do a lore video on what happened to Jar Jar Binks after Revenge of the Sith. He became a bit of a clown. I mean, he was a clown before, but now he's more of a clown. I'll save that for the video. Comment down below if you want me to do that or something. Anyways, on to the video. The next one we have worth mentioning from this episode is our trip to Obadiah and visiting the Pikes. Now, we have been to Obadiah before, in the Clone Wars, specifically in Season 6, where Anakin and Obi-Wan went looking for clues relating to the late Jedi Master Cypher Dyas. The leader of the Pikes has been revealed as Marg Krim, who was actually featured in the Dark Disciple novel and who took over after Count Dooku murdered the last leader. Now, in the Clone Wars, the former Sith Lord Darth Maul formed a criminal alliance known as the Shadow Collective. The Pikes were a part of this alliance, but since then, the Pikes abandoned Maul. The question is now, do the Pikes still have any connection to the Darth? We know in Solo, Maul began running this criminal empire Crimson Dawn, so maybe this is a bit of a connection, but it is a long shot. But the most likely one is Maul and the Pikes no longer have any present connection as of right now. Now, the last little connection worth noting from this episode is Spice itself. Spice basically means drugs in the Star Wars universe. Now, Spice in the Star Wars galaxy goes back all the way to the New Hope, where it was mentioned in the opening shot by C-3PO. So the term has actually been there from the very beginnings. Since then, it has appeared almost everywhere in the universe, popping up all the time. Spice itself was mined in the spice mines of Kessel, but other spice mines were also found around the galaxy, including Ryloth and Naboo. So it somehow has a big part to play in the whole universe. That's all we have for episode 6, so let's move on to episode 5. The first little Easter egg we have here is level 1313. Now, many of you will know that level 1313 was actually originally made to be the prime location for a game as well as a Star Wars live-action TV series, both of which were cancelled. It has featured before though, appearing in Season 2 of the Clone Wars. So even though the movie and the TV series was cancelled, it is still nice to have hints and it popping up over and over again. And who knows, perhaps one day the game or TV series will be picked up again and continued. Who knows? No one does. Now, the next little fun connection we have is a Nebula-class freighter, the ship that Trace is modifying. Now, this seems to have a connection to the Nebula-class Star Destroyer featured in Legends. In Legends, the New Republic even named one of these ships the Obi-Wan. So he's always got the high ground because he's in space. The ship fought in the Yuzhang Vong War and was even used against Darth Krayt. So while the freighter itself in the Clone Wars may not be a Star Destroyer, it looks like a little fun connection between that and the Star Destroyer. And the final Easter egg we have for this episode is the Calrissian Lando mat. Now, believe me, I got very excited at first. For a moment, I thought Rafa Martez might have some connection to Lando, but she probably doesn't. It was pointed out that in this episode, there were some signs written in Orbish that read Calrissian and Lando mat. Now this is probably just a cheeky little Easter egg, or maybe Raffa is in a relationship with Lando? Let the theories commence! Now moving on to episode 4. The first thing I noticed in this episode was magazines? It was pointed out that it looked like on the Bad Batch ship there were magazines labelled History Monthly, which featured on the cover a picture of a clone trooper. Now I might be wrong, but I don't think we've actually seen any sort of magazine featured in the Star Wars universe before, let alone even much paper, to be honest. I mean, aside from the HoloNet, we've never actually really seen any media in the Star Wars galaxy. So this opens up a whole range of different things now. Now that's all we really have for episode 4. In terms of episode 3, there is one thing I'd like to note. It's not so much of an Easter egg, but in the original story reel, the Decimator, the droid that Tambor used to destroy Anakin, Rex, Echo and the Bad Batch, actually had an extra scene where we saw the Decimator decimate one of the natives. Now this scene was cut in the Clone Wars final episode, and the name of the droid was also changed from the Organic Decimator to just the Decimator. Now this scene could have simply been removed just to save time. Personally, I think the only reason to include it at all was just to add the suspense. It showed what the droid could actually do, which I thought made it a little bit more scary and intimidating. But those are just my thoughts. I don't think the episode was any weaker for not including it. It was still a very fine, good episode. Now for episode 2, there are really only 2 things worth mentioning from this episode. The first was Skako Minor. Now this planet, until the Bad Batch series, was only a planet from Legends. It was first mentioned in The Cloak of Deception, a Legends novel that takes place less than a year before The Phantom Menace. It then appeared in What Tambor and the Quest for the Sacred Eye of Albino Cyclops? Another interesting Legends book. It has also been mentioned in the Star Wars The Old Republic game, specifically in the Shadow of Revan expansion pack. So this was the first time that it was actually brought into canon. And the second was actually what appears to be a movie within the Star Wars universe. There appears to be posters placed throughout the episode relating to a movie called Space Battles. This is a fun little Easter egg. It even seems that Star Wars has their own Star Wars movie. So that's fun. So finally, we arrive at episode 1, which has a good few Easter eggs. We'll start off with Fort Anaxus. Now this fort first appeared in the original story reel for the Bad Batch arc. When the Clone Wars was cancelled, the unfinished story reels for the arc were screened in 2015. 5 years later, we actually get to see the finished episodes. But focusing on Fort Anaxus itself, while it appeared 5 years ago in those reels, it also featured in the Clone Wars sequel show, Rebels. Now after the war, Anaxus was subjected to a cataclysm that broke apart the planet, but the fort remained preserved, becoming a Rhydonian fuel station and a popular choice for secret meetings. At least 4 years prior to the Battle of Yavin, a colony of Foreignox had nested in the remains of the base, which were encountered by the rebels Hera Syndulla and Sabine Wren, when they had planned to meet a secret agent there, codenamed Fulcrum. The fort hasn't changed at all since we saw it in the Clone Wars. So this doesn't exactly, I don't know if it counts as a Clone Wars Easter egg, since technically it was Rebels that it appeared second in, so technically it was a Easter egg for the Clone Wars, but it's just a fun little thing it's an Easter egg for either Rebels or Clone Wars. I don't know which one, but it's just there. It's an Easter egg. Just happy Easter. And then, of course, we have a not-so-subtle old connection, which is the return of Admiral Trench. Now, Trench returned in Season 6 during the battle for Ringo Vindar, as well as from the episode Cat and Mouse, where he appeared to have been blown up by Anakin, but, he survived, as always. That's all we have for today's episode. These past 6 episodes have really brought back some of the same feelings from watching the Clone Wars all those years ago. The next episodes I'm, even more excited for. Like, apart from the Siege of Mandalore, we have no idea what's coming next. Plus, the Siege of Mandalore, I've been dying to see that since they first announced there ever was a Siege of Mandalore. Order 66, but animated, again, it's going to be great. For now, thank you for watching. May the Force be with you. That was a bus.